Hello and welcome to a brand new channel. Well, this channel as it was around for a few years, but as it will be, is kind of new. So we are going through a name change and we are going through just a general change of kind of topics. It's not going to be so far afield from what I was doing before, but it's going to be a little bit more focused, a little bit more tightly edited. Things like B-roll, things like more heavily researched topics are kind of going to become the norm. So this used to be a channel called It Came From The Page, which was mainly just a channel about just what I was reading, how I was reading it, what I was doing, a lot of slice of life stuff with the occasional more deeper dive into other things. The new channel, Roll for Lit, is actually going to be a little bit more hyper focused upon role playing games and their books and extended material. So, for example, there is a very popular game. You might have heard of it, Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons. Now, Dungeons and Dragons has hundreds upon hundreds of books in all kinds of different settings and areas and have different focuses and different vibes. And if you're kind of getting into Dungeons and Dragons from a literary aspect, there is a lot of different directions you can take. And alongside of that, there is things like Warhammer. I read a lot of Warhammer fiction, both Warhammer Fantasy, the Old World, as it is now called, Age of Sigmar, as the modern Warhammer Fantasy is, and Warhammer 40,000. Now, I do think it should be noted, as soon as I mention things like Warhammer, there is something I need to say, and that is that this is a leftist channel. So you will not be getting weird, rage baity, right wing material here. We take the content as it was literally meant to be, which was a parody of fascism. And yeah, so just so you know, this one of my favorite books last year that I read was Void Scarred by Mike Brooks. We are all in on gay Eldar here. So yeah, there's not only the bigger topics will be covered as well. Like we're not only gonna go D&D and Warhammer, which both have oh god, probably well over 500 books between them. But I'm also going to get into a little bit of the more lesser known stuff. Books that don't have as much of a public following and are in the modern day not talked about a lot. So thinking things like Shadowrun, BattleTech. If you're in the realm of role playing games, you'll know those names. But if you're just a casual viewer, you might not know that. And then even more deeper, weirder topics like Torg and things that kind of skirt the line. So one of the things that skirts the line is there was a Alien role-playing game based on the cinematic franchise Alien and its subsequent films. And, you wouldn't think that I would include a tie-in as an excuse to talk about the books, but there were a run of novels in the Alien Expanded Universe that were coupled with little campaigns to play after you read the book. And as such, they're really kind of intrinsically tied with the role playing game and the lore from it. Because there was literally rules to play a little adventure in the role playing game after you read the book that kind of deals with the aftermath of said book. That was a little trilogy that Titan did. But because of that, we definitely will be expanding things a little bit. There will be things that are a little bit off the track. So, say, Fallout. Fallout as a franchise was literally called a like the first game, like the first video game had a role-playing game in the title and used a system that was pretty common at the time for how it did most of its gameplay. So, if there were any big tie-in material to that, other than I don't believe there is. I think there is a Fallout making of game and there is also the TV show, obviously. But there is also a one-shot New Vegas comic book that was kind of pretty good. But other than that, there's not a lot of literary tie-ins to the Fallout universe. But that was just like a really easy to say example. And things like Knights of the Old Republic, things that are very heavily RPG based, like Mass Effect, but are mainly from the video game perspective. If they do have tie in materials, I will explore that. And then also, things that we will be doing on this channel is, painting, have like painting nights, and just hang out and paint whatever minis we're working on. We will go into role playing books that do not have any tie in fiction as well, and just kind of like go through the books itself and what kind of, short stories and setup is actually in the lore of the base books that didn't ever have anything that was expanding upon it. We're going to read some old magazines occasionally. You got Dragon Magazine, you've got White Dwarf, there's Pyramid Magazine. There's a ton of magazines that back in the day were specifically focused upon role-playing games, and as such, they are open for discussion here, and it's just kind of really fun to go through and older video game things. So when we kind of like get into a new franchise that we're going to be talking about, I will be giving kind of like a brief overview of the world and where the history of the game. We're not going to go in as big of a detail as like some channels do, because I don't really want to knock on their toes. So if there is a really good and really strong video that sets up the world, I will probably link that other creator instead of just going off on my own and just kind of like having fun with it. Things like Vampire the Masquerade, Werewolf the Apocalypse, those things have really, really strong videos on creators that kind of like detail and get you into the worlds. So I will be mainly focusing upon the literature aspect, but I will be talking a little bit about the history of the games as well, where it is applicable. Also, I would love to start doing some actual play videos where I get a bunch of my friends together and I put them through a role-playing game in an old scenario and see how well some of these, proposed scenarios hold up in the modern day with players who are used to modern aspects. A few other things as we kind of get into the weeds as we go down. There will be no AI on this channel. I do not approve of AI. I think AI steals from artists, has bad environmental aspects, and it's just lazy and boring. And role-playing games are all about creativity and expanding the world with your mind. So we focus on, the human imagination and things like that. If there is anything when we are going through older books, there may be things that are kind of offensive. I will be doing my best to catch all of those things and at least give you a warning as we go into some of the more problematic aspects of old role-playing games. But I will say, I'm not perfect. Nobody is. And if I do make a mistake or get into a topic that wasn't known to me to be a landmine, please just let me know and I can correct that in the video and apologize for it. This is meant to be a fun video exploring the world of role-playing and not going to, go out of its way to be horribly offensive. So, yeah, we do not want to do that here. So, I hope you'll join us for all of the, adventures to come as we kind of like, explore and make a new path forward on YouTube. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys had a good time. If you have any recommendations for books you'd like me to cover, franchises you'd like me to kind of like introduce to you, or directions you'd like to see this channel go, please let me know in the comments below. And until next time, I wish you the best and natural 20s for all your days. Toodaloo. Bye.